What's up, party people, to another episode of Who Actually Podcast. I'm your host, Duty Too Groovy, and today we have a very special, intelligent guest in the building. We got Phoenix Sean in the building. Phoenix, bro, can you give us a little quick introduction to who you are, just in case people don't know who you are?
Yes, first and foremost, I want to give thanks to you for opening up this platform, man. And first and foremost, got to give thanks to the ancestors, man, because that's the only way I have drive and motivation what I'm doing now. Because this world somewhere else. But my name is
Indeed.
Phoenix Sean. I'm a teacher. I would like to consider myself a intellect. I'm a musician. Um, I have a great lineage of knowledge. My grandfather is Apostle Rogers, and I know y'all hear Apostle. I'm not religious, but this is what my grandfather do. He's a humanitarian who that did a lot of work in Nigeria and Liberia. So this whole Black liberation thing has been into me since I was like 6 years old. I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm from the South. I moved pretty much everywhere, but for the most part, I'm from the South, and I'm just a frequency. I'm not conscious. I'm not any labels. I'm just a frequency, and just willing to connect with other frequencies and challenge other frequencies to be the best frequency of themselves. That's it.
I feel that, and I respect the fact that you don't want to label yourself because that way you can, be intertwined with any type of frequency and make your mark, and
Yeah.
that you don't have to be stuck in one paradigm. So that's really dope. Um, Backstage before we hopped on, we were talking about kind of like the ills of the conscious community or the intellectuals on, having platforms without doing their due research, and I kind of had to cut you off so the people can hear. So if you
Yeah.
can you kind of reiterate your point?
Pretty much I was just saying like he was saying, like we was speaking about like the Jesus Christ. And mind you, if you're religious, if you spiritual, I'm at a point in my life, I'm just here to get the message out. So whether you spiritual, that's neither here or there. So we was pretty much touching bases where how due to my research, I believe ancient ancestors such as the Egyptians, the Mayans, the Aztecs, the Incas. I believe due to my research that these people had what you would call gods and goddesses, and multiple of them, poly. But I don't think they didn't view themselves as being that too. The difference with us now, even us spiritual people, we praise Osiris and the ancestors and people in slavery and all these ancient people, but we don't really believe that we that, because if we did, a lot of our actions would change. Um, Even right now, if somebody say I'm a god or I'm a king, or if you speak like that, even
Hmm.
spiritual people will tell you being cocky, you need to humble yourself. And I don't really like, that's why I have a lot of friction and tension with a lot of people, because once you really understand your true power, I'm not saying this to sound good. I'm saying once you really like wake up and look and be like, okay, two 2,000 years from now, 1,000 years from now, I'm going to be the Osiris, or I'm going to be the deity that people revere. And that's pretty much what I just want to just highlight and let people know. Like, when something bad happened, the devil did it. When something good happened, God did it.
Right.
Why do we have
It's
to
never
always be
you.
that out?
Hmm.
Yeah, it's never you. It's always. And I love divinity. Don't get me wrong, but I'm starting to see a lot of words are tricking people. You
Yeah.
did something good because you created it. It wasn't what you call your God or your devil. You did that. Now, and that's just accountability. But you can go ahead.
Yeah, and I want to make it known that, like, a lot of these deities, whether we talking ancient Egyptian deities or modern day deities, they are personified principles. Even like
Yeah.
Jesus Christ with Christ consciousness, that's supposed to be like the most humble, most pure action that you can have towards humanity. It's not literally a man, it's a principle, it's a thought wave, it's a frequency. And that's just like all the Egyptian ancient gods. Those were personified virtues. You feel me?
Yeah.
But people get lost in that because uh, like I was saying earlier, I don't know if it's a human trait, but we want things to be solidified. We want to be able to have something tangible. So Jesus, instead of it being a type of consciousness, when Jesus returns, it's a type of mentality for men. It's an actual man coming out the sky to save everybody.
Yeah,
So
and
that like we have to kind of the dope thing about spirituality is that science backs it, and science is spirituality explained, and we kind of like we can't take that. It has to be a balance. It has to be the
yeah,
duality of the principle and the tangibility of the principle. So um yeah,
yeah.
I want
The
to pass.
piggyback on that, I always tell people, if you want to enlighten yourself, just use history, science, and spirituality. You'll realize those all the same thing. They just different aspects of whatever you want to deem spirituality is. And what I've noticed and what I've been noticing over the years, because we don't really notice words, but I'm big on words. I would say the conscious community and the spiritual community are two different communities. Because you
Yeah,
have the black liberation people that's like the white man is okay, cool, whatever. Then you have the people that want to meditate when their family's getting killed, or they want to sage peace until environment that's not requiring you to be saging, it's requiring you to fight back. So
right, right.
it went from okay, conscious and spirituality was kind of linked early 2000s, whatever. Then you had the religious people trying to transfer, but now it's so many it's like subgenres. And subgenres is can be beautiful, but it's killing us because it's all over the place. We don't have no common ground. There's no universal principle.
Mhm.
Um, so that's why I just want people to understand, like, everything goes into everything. You just got to understand that. Because me, I didn't read the Bible up and down. I'm not a person that didn't read the Bible, but even when I was a child, it just never really clicked with me. But like you said, like the parables and Egyptian call them, audiograms. You see a
Mhm.
hieroglyphic, it's not it's not pretty much telling you that this all saying out means this. It's where your perception take you. What dimension you
Facts.
in when you look at it. So I think a lot of times we don't really prioritize critical thinking. We want people to be like, okay, what is this exactly? No, it's an audiogram. This hieroglyphic can mean 2,000 different things to 2,000 different people.
Yep. Yep.
But all the meanings is it has morals to them. Now, if you
Mhm.
start putting your own ill intent into them audiograms, now you just diminish. You just killed and crushed everything the ancestors crafted because they was craftsmen. So that's
Facts.
just my thoughts on um the whole like the different brackets of spirituality, and also like we just it's like we find so many excuses as not to be gods and goddesses. Like it don't matter what it is, we gonna always find it. And I think I seen one of your videos recently where you speaking with a guy about um dang, what was y'all speaking about? But he was just saying like you was saying pretty much if somebody you didn't create hoodies or whatever, but you created the way that it's configured and you the way you
Right.
packaged it. And I see that mentality with a lot of people. People just like, well, the universe gonna deal with them and da da da. That's why we fucked up now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And
yeah,
we
that's
always want to put the responsibility of good and evil onto a different being and not us. Like so like how you were saying, it's always if something good happened, then it was God fault. If something bad happened, it was the devil fault. But you forget that you are the conduit of energy and you can tap in to the good and bad source. It just depends on your perception of what actions you're taking. And I want to emphasize on that that saying that people just say like perception is reality, that's actually deeper and stronger than people actually realize. Because
yeah,
literally, like you were saying, I've had people try to convince me that the Baphomet isn't evil. And if you can look at that and look at it in two ways. It could be the androgynous satanic demon thing, or you can look at it as a balance of feminine and masculine energy. And depending on your intent on using the image, for you is justified. Because
Yeah,
what's evil to you may be good for me, and what's good for me
exactly.
may be evil to you. And it's like, is the concept of good and evil actually real? Like, who gets to choose between what's good and what's bad? A killer will feel justified in killing. Even
Yeah,
a glutton will make the excuse that eating makes me feel good, even if it's killing them, and we see that
yeah.
it's killing them. So it's like, once we give a word or a label, that's where the power comes into it. Because to me, tarot cards is a divination tool. It's kind of like a medium for me to get higher perspective from the creator, from spirit. But to an ultra Christian, I'm devil worshiping. That's witchcraft. And
Yeah.
who's to say who's right or wrong? Because I can't, like, their perception of what I'm doing ain't gonna change the fact that I'm doing it. So
Yeah.
yeah, well, how you feel about that?
Um, like specifically, like exactly like what which part? You dropped some gems just now.
How how powerful perception is to your reality? Because what we're our main conversation is kind of like uh giving responsibility to the bad stuff that we're doing to ourselves. Like, that's why, me and you came up with the enemy in the mirror. So yeah,
Yeah.
how do you feel about with the perception, how
Uh,
powerful perception is?
perception is probably, if not the most important thing, whether I believe it or whether I don't believe it, because that's what matters at the end of the day. Because how many relationships on a daily basis, spiritual or not, end because you say something with good intent, but it might have sternness to it, and sternness to this person has been disrespectful their whole life. The exes are at the exes at the exes. Sternness to them, their whole life has been, oh, he's disrespecting me, he coming at me, and really you just challenging them. So perception is, before you get to any spirituality or any belief system, I feel like perception is the first step. But the tricky thing is perception have to be based in fact too, because you can believe 2 plus 2 is 72 all you want. That can be your perception of that. But this is where
Yeah,
this is where you still accommodate and bring in, okay, we got to come to some common ground. This is why I knew for a fact what you want to call aboriginal, ancient black people. I knew for a fact, in order for them to come up with math and just all this high level of science and alchemy, alchemy is what we skip over. Everybody speak about spirituality and they just skip over science and how alchemy damn near created all of them things. But it's tough. But I just feel like the perception in the ancestors before us, I feel like they all was able to come to a common ground.
yeah,
Okay, I feel like this formula does this and this. Okay, I'm gonna work on science. I'm gonna work on division. You go work on multiplications. You gonna work on. I just feel like that's just what they did because
yeah,
we can't do that shit to save our life now. We can't. Everybody want to be good at everything. Everybody. You want to
yes,
be the best astrologer. You want to be the best at history, and that's where we fuck up. Sometimes just turn it over. Me, I gravitate towards. It depends, but I'm more gravitated towards history because I like figuring out, okay, where did shifts in certain ideology come into play. And when you study history, you will understand that more times than not, you can trace ideologies from wars, from conquering, from.
hmm
That's how I always get it. And like I was speaking to a goddess earlier, she know a lot about tarot card reading, no disrespect, and I even was telling her like, do you know the history of like tarot card reading or how it was used in certain things? And she didn't know none of that. And it's not a knock to her, but it's to show that we only looking at spirituality in one spectrum. And this
in
is
a
why
surface level.
that's why a lot of people are like, man, Finn, why you don't collab? Why you don't do this and speak no more? It's not that. I just want us to understand when we have talks like this, we might as well talk about everything. I don't care if we talking about aliens to extraterrestrials to uh DNA, alchemy, right? We talking about everything because we have a voice and we have
Yeah,
people. People might know certain things going into a conversation, but by us touching on so many different topics, they remember, oh, I wouldn't even think about that. I didn't know. Okay.
right,
But
right.
yeah, that's just how I feel.
And you
Perception
can like
is the first step.
recognize the ceiling of your knowledge and then go harder the next time. And I want to kind of bring this discussion down to earth when it comes to perception, because let's look at the Rittenhouse situation, or whatever that kid's name is.
Yeah.
Why I have not wrapped my head around this. Why are black people angry about his about the verdict when it has nothing to do with us at all, period? If you just look at it, you would think that he got away with killing black people, but it has nothing to do with black people at all, period. None of the victims were black. It wasn't a racial like, it wasn't nothing. It had nothing to do with us. And yet, not only have we been tricked by the media, well, not me, but tricked by the media to believe it's a black issue, but people are actually talking about it as if it's a black issue, and it's not.
I'm gonna
And it,
say I'm gonna say by definition it's not, but according to um the time we live in, it is a black issue because what being black is now is putting yourself last. That's literally what black is now. Not for me, not for you, but for the masses. That's what being okay. I know I'm oppressed. I know we only have 1% wealth. I know we don't really have our ancient teachings, but I don't care about that. I'm gonna be there how they are for me for Black Lives Matter, and it just go down the rabbit hole. So with me, when it comes to like current events in the world, um, the last one that honestly I had a reaction to is probably like Trayvon. I'm gonna be honest, and it's not. I done had one of my older cousins hung in where he was at. I want to say Wilmington, North Carolina, if I'm not mistaken. I definitely double check that. But I had a cousin that was hung before, like recently, not even 5, 6 years ago. And
yeah,
I mourn and I'm like, dang, this messed up. But I'm just picturing about the solution. Okay. Um, you go into court, you going into their game. We always go into their game and expect them to wake up and be like, you know what? We gonna be fair today. They're not gonna do that. Only time they're gonna be fair is if
right.
it's like, okay, this is the least we can do. And that's how they look at us. They like, if we have cases police brutality or mass shootings, we're gonna go ahead and do this just to hush everybody, calm everybody down while we already working something up in the mix. And we're just gonna go from there. So um black
I
people, we
I
just
feel
gotta
like
and kind of go into the go ahead.
we are so divided as a people that that's why we stay under this victim umbrella. If we actually could come together and figure out, okay, what do we actually want, it
Yeah.
would be, because I remember, like, I've kind of not changed my tune a little bit, but I'm not as extreme in my thought, because, like, last year I was more or less like, everybody needs to just separate from black people. Like, we just need to. And people will argue with me about that. Like, well, what about people with mixed kids and yada yada yada? And it's like, we can't even have a specific goal to attain without people cutting the pie up. Like, why can't that be an issue that's addressed once we get the land and once we get established? Then we can talk about that kind of stuff. But we can't get anything off the ground because everybody wants to be a leader, like you were saying earlier. an opinion, and I'm sorry, there I honestly feel like some people don't need to have an opinion. Some people just need to listen and follow directions sometimes. If
Hey,
an astrologer was to come
yeah,
up here right now and get to talking like my boy Blue Regard, he's so hard with the astrology, I would shut up. As smart as I am, I don't have his intelligence when it comes to astrology, so I know to
yeah,
shut up. And everybody not that humble. You feel me?
yeah,
So I think that's one of our biggest issues. Because if people understood what Black Lives Matter really was, who George Soros really was, they would not be rallying behind that. But they let like Black Lives Matter is such a emotional statement. You
yeah,
feel me? That even if you were to tell them what it really is for, they wouldn't believe you because they want that slice of pie to mean something to them
yeah,
instead of what it actually is. So
yeah.
yeah.
I agree, and it's like the kind of mirror back into like the one of the titles will be like, what is it? What's the title? Yeah, Enemy in the Mirror.
Mhm.
Um, like I was just saying, man, it just gets tough because it's like I don't know. I just think our ideologies is just too apart at this point. And I went through like a 2 year period recently of not even want to like speak or do any of this because it's like okay, even when we come to a common ground, right? Um, but when you study science, you understand every chemical can't mix. And
Yeah.
what you call people are ain't nothing but a chemical makeup, whether it's natural chemicals or unnatural. I get into the different ethnic groups and all of that. But even when I be like, okay, let's all boom, 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 let's come together. The ideologies of if you view meditation that's scientifically proven to heal and release stress, depression, anxiety, help with sex drive, help with communication. If you just can't look at the facts of that and get past, oh, you shouldn't be meditating. The Bible says this. I don't know how much coming together we can do. I don't know. If I'm telling you, hey, you have anxiety, you need to go hike. You need to go higher climates. You need to go stretch, release some of that. And if that just don't resonate with you and you would just rather not even just be religious, if you would just rather do something else that's not as effective, I mean, what are we going to do? Because all our ideologies work in this illusion. But if you apply a lot of our ideologies in every aspect, for cars, for instance, we just simple stuff. Humans are the only people that just don't live into their natural habitat no more, especially black people. You have an engine
Yeah.
light, you can't pray that away, you can't meditate that away, you can't sage that. You have to go do the proper. You have to go do that and get that engine light off. Boom. So it's like I don't know. It's just sometimes, man, I don't be knowing what to say because you watch so many channels, you watch so many
Mhm.
intellects, and you just kind of see like, damn. Every time we get some type of motivation or movement going, either these guys self-destruct
Yeah.
or they water their stuff down. Something always happens. This is
I
why.
think a lot of
Go
the
ahead.
times, I think a lot of the times also is we end up preaching to the choir. It's always at a certain point where we get to a certain level that the only people that are listening are already those who agree with what we're saying, and that can be a demotivator because you feel like you're just spinning your wheels. That's why you kind of have to always reinvent yourself. Like I was like super, if you go through my videos, you can see the different stages of consciousness that I got into. And when I
Yeah.
reached the peak where I felt like, there's nothing else I can talk about when it comes to metaphysics, I just now I'm about to be teaching nutrition and get into deeper levels of that. You know what I'm saying? So it's like what stage of being a black intellectual or just a black person in general what stage are we in that makes us so stagnant? Because we're okay with being a thug. We're okay with being like, let's be real. And this might sound controversial, but I have a point. We are okay with being killed by each other and by police. You know how I know that? Because we do the same cycle. We cry and be outraged. We might march, bust that freedom nut, and then we right back to twerking and rapping and drinking and smoking into the next murder. And then we do it all over
Yeah.
again. And so that's a comfortability. That's a comfort zone. As sick as that sounds, that's a comfort zone. And so, like, how do we, like, what I've been trying to figure out, and that's why I got into nutrition, because it's more of a tangible, that's more tangible information that you can utilize in everyday life. Where, like, how do we get to the next stage? If we're sick of being a victim, how do we get to the next stage? How can we stop
Um.
self sabotaging our progress?
Uh. Man,
Which
I've
is
been
the
doing this for a
hardest
while.
question.
It's hard. It's the hardest, but it's funny because I'm thinking about all the different versions of me that would have gave so many different answers. I'm thinking, if you would have asked me
Hmm.
that at 19, what like what would I have said? 20, something different. 21, something different. 20. Now I'm 25, something completely different, and everything put together than I didn't thought of. Uh, to kind of the to stay on topic, but to kind of pivot. I honestly think intellects now on this earth, we are probably in the most difficult time in history. That's my personal opinion, because even when we talk
Yeah.
about other people that was waking up their people, even when you speak about like recent stuff, Shaka Zulu and stuff, when they was getting their people amped up, either you got with them, or they kicked you out of their village, or they got rid of you. We can't
Hmm.
do radical things like that anymore because whatever. But if majority of the world was on go, trust me, I'll be on the front line. But now that I see the world is really not on go, I'm not on the front line for none of that shit. So you pretty much asking like where do we go from here, or
What this is like a answerless question. I'm just trying
I
to
see.
make people think. Like, we've obviously hit a ceiling. So
Mm-hmm.
how do we break that barrier if we're truly tired of being the world's joke, the world's target? How do we change it? Because we are so, well, I think I know. We 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 are the anti-Pangea. Like, we are so, like you keep saying, we are so divided that we are all on our own little continents. And for individual leaders of those continents, it works perfectly. They get their donations, they get their clout up, they get rich, they do their thing. But the world's problems is still there. And if everybody wants to be a leader of their own island, of their own continent, we can't get nowhere. And that's been a problem since, honestly, colonialism. Because I've read certain books that said a lot of these tribes got formed because people splintered away when the colonists came over there, and they developed their own languages and their own their own culture. And so you can't defeat an enemy if you're not unified.
Yeah.
And if everybody want to be a leader, you can never be unified. Like, it's not gonna
Um.
happen.
Like you said, like when we gonna stop being the butt of the joke? We gonna stop being the butt of the joke when we stop laughing at the damn joke. You see what I'm saying? Like me, even through all high school, middle school, and I would be considered like to be the popular dude. Even now, I never ever look down on people. Like if I had on Jordan and you had on some other shit that just wasn't that, I would never like do that. Like I would sometimes, and you got some of my homies. I go to school and like say if some of my homies really don't have nothing, like don't have like zero. Been wearing the same. I give them some of my stuff. I take some of the chains off my neck, and I do certain things to do that. And I just think that I think now by us being colonized for so long, I just think everything that's happening is just a detox. Now you can look at a detox as good or
Mm.
bad, because I really just don't see. If you would ask me this anywhere from 24 down, I would have seen some type of light, like a crack of light that inspired me to be like, okay, this is what the future can. I don't now it's like all them little cracks I was saying before, and it's
Yeah.
crazy for me to say. I don't even see like where the only thing I can see is if we completely just focus on the youth. If you have kids right now, it sounds cliche. I know people don't want to hear that, but that's literally the best solution. If you have a 5-year-old right now, you need to teach that 5-year-old alchemy, astrology, numerology,
Mhm.
science, um, taekwondo, kickboxing, how to control their emotions, communicate with that 5-year-old. Don't yell at them. Let that 5-year-old teach you, because obviously we need some teaching, because these 5-year-olds, at least they a little pure. That's my best solution for anything right now.
But
Right now, my best
and
is
to
just
be
focusing on
honest,
these youth.
that is honestly what our collective generation's mission is. Collectively, we're supposed to be teaching, like the youth is going to be better than us. We're setting the foundation for them to build better than we ever could, because we are literally the generation that is healing generational curses. We're
Yeah,
the only generation that's tackled that. Like, we're literally dealing with all of the issues that our parents and parents' parents and their parents passed down to us, and we're cleansing that for who comes next. Because think about it this way: this is the only generation that is like opposed to whooping kids,
yeah,
because we
yeah,
understand that hitting kids is an angry response to not being in control, because you feel like you're not in control all day long. You got bosses telling you what to do. You got to stop and start when the light tells you to. You got the police on your back. It might be somebody that's more intimidating than you that you low key scared of and don't want to admit. So all day, every day, you are being dominated. And when you get home, when that kid do one thing that you don't like, you just take your anger out. And we're the only generation that understand that. And there's
yeah,
still people that's older than us, our parents, who still try to um, make excuses for whoopings,
yeah,
and as the first resort and not the last resort. So
yeah,
our job isn't really, like, let's be real and take our ego out of it. Our job really isn't to change the world. We're supposed to change the people. We're supposed to raise the people that's going to change the world.
yeah,
Because
and
I yeah,
go ahead.
I'll say, and this is my last statement. I honestly, and my uncle was asking me this. He asked me, do I think 2020 actually showed the vision? And I told him I feel like 2020 was the rapture. And what I mean by that is that all that year we got plain truths of what reality is, and people chose their sides. They were either anti V or V. And y'all
Yeah,
can, I'm not gonna say it. And
yeah,
and depending on even that small choice, you see the type of person those people are. And so 2021 was proven, like, showed you, like, okay, these are the people. This is their choice. This is
yeah,
where their spirit took them. And so all the people that were raptured to heaven, who are ascending to the next level, our job is literally to pull up the youth. And so we can throw them higher above us, and they can do the things that we can't do because we're so busy healing the traumas.
yeah.
If you get what I mean.
No, I agree. I think that's probably been my most consistent. That's probably one of the things that haven't changed. I always, due to like observation. Like you said, we the ones that set the foundation, but we also the ones to protect the foundation too. Because while
Mhm.
me and you might be setting the foundation, 20 other suckers is setting the destruction. So it's like it's still a battle. And I don't
Mhm.
think a lot of spiritual people really look at certain things as a battle. They just kind of think um a lot of people just kind of think that things is gonna work itself out, and and I think that's probably the biggest problem. It's not gonna work itself out. You're gonna have to work it out. It's not gonna go. It's not gonna grow legs and recreate. It's not. Now I get it. We all got traumas. We all working on certain things, but in the line of war, I'm here. I'm letting y'all know when it's freedom on the line. None of that shit matter, man. So we got to stop making excuses and saying, okay, let's do mass meditation and da da da. And I meditate every day. I've been doing it for a while. But when certain adversities come to my life, I know it ain't the time for that. I know it ain't the time for sage. And I know it ain't the time for incense. I know it's the time for me to go check this situation. It's time for me to check this situation, like off rip. And I think a lot of people think the two don't go try some Buddhist monks. They the most peaceful nigga. But go try Buddha's monk and see if he don't knock your head off with one of them goddamn
Right.
bamboo sticks. Go do that. Like, and by my
Yeah.
grandfather having so much land and meeting with, like, I done met princes and kings and all that in Nigeria. Like when I was 8, 9 years old. And we didn't met Buddha's monk. We didn't met different people. Mind you, my family feel a certain way about all the other stuff, but my grandfather, I feel like he know more than whatever. But I done met so many different people. One of the main reasons I grew out my locks was because we had met up with a House of Representative from Germany, and
Mhm.
me and all my cousins was sitting in the round table because my grandfather had a meeting with him, and he part of the United Nations. Grandfather had a meeting with him about me, 11 of my cousins, and my grandparents was kind of disappointed or upset with us because we didn't cut our hair down how they wanted us to, especially me. And the German guy literally said, he said, "Oh," he said, why you young men down?" I said, they wanted us to get a haircut. Cause at this point we was heated, so we might as well just tell it. Cause we sitting at another dinner
Mhm.
table on the side where he was sitting at, and he was like, man, I don't know why you black men cut y'all hair. White, the whitest German dude you can meet. He said, man, I wish I could have hair like you. He said, man, I'm so intrigued with y'all hair and jewelry and stuff. And he wasn't even insulting them. He was being legit. Like he was saying, like, yo. And ever since that day when I was what, 16, 17, I always kind of kept it. And now they don't mean everybody go to hair. Because one of my homies, he got a low cut. And you look at ancient ancestors, they had locks, they had bald heads,
Mhm.
they had fades. But I'm just proving the point that once you travel and you get a little more acquainted with the world and you talk to people that know stuff, but they don't have an ill intent, they gonna slip out and say some shit that we need to know. Like if more white German men walk around saying, hey, don't do this and be yourself and wear your natural, whatever, people will do it. But that's the problem. It takes for I was already gonna do it, but it was just weird hearing that white German guy do that. But it just takes a lot of outside in like sources for us to be motivated. We got to start motivating ourselves. We can't keep using the excuse of, okay, I don't want to go natural because guys don't like natural. No, make niggas like it. I mean, what are
Yeah.
you rock it. You make it look cool like me. People be surprised with me. I'm tattooed up, but I it's a whole history behind ink and scribes and tattoos that we don't even know about that I've been researching over the years.
Mhm.
But all I'm saying is, man, a lot of the things that they demonize, whether it's being a street dude, whether it's being a nerd, it's it's a reason they're using certain words when they describe certain people because in them words, it's a positive connotation, but we skip over that. When somebody call you a nerd, you get offended, or somebody say, "Oh, you just a street dude," you get offended. You're not really looking at the positive of even though they got an ill intent, but you got to be able to break the word down. Okay, he calling me a street dude. Oh, because I don't take no shit. I'm rebellious. Oh, he calling me a nerd because I actually cannot go to the party with these guys on the weekend and actually read. So with me, it'd be hard to hurt my feelings. I'll be honest. It be
Yeah,
hella hard to hurt my feelings because when people say shit, for one, I know their intellect is not in a place to truly insult me in a way that's going to like crush me. So I use
right.
their words against them. They say this and they say that, or you you too stern. I'm like, oh, you just not used to correction. That's all.
Right.
Or you too
Yeah.
standoffish. No, you just not used to your own space. So it's ways you can look at stuff, and a lot of people get discouraged. And again, you talk to many people, many intellects, many different people. A lot of people never really speak about the the sternness you must obtain when you become spiritual or conscious. They make it seem like it's just flowers and blue skies and clouds. And I
Yeah.
don't like speaking about spirituality. I'm gonna let you know on this journey, you're gonna lose about 70 to 80% of whatever you thought was life. You're gonna lose that
Yeah.
when you come along these. If you're serious, you're gonna lose that, and you got to expect that. But
Facts. And I want to say, honestly, I want to shout out Nigeria. Like,
yeah,
I love the culture. I love the people. Egusi is like one of my favorite things to eat. I have not eaten it
yeah,
in a long
I
time,
got
but
the whole thing tatted, man. Nigeria,
yeah,
Egypt,
see,
yeah,
that's fire. So shout out to all Nigerians. Yeah, man, I can go into a whole spiel about the power in words. I'm about to plug my bro Double R the God. He got a whole series about how words are spells, and he breaks down words and letters and etymology and things of that nature. So if y'all are interested in learning actually what we're saying, because we're actually speaking German and Latin mixed together, and all magic is based in German and Latin, which is why Harry Potter was like, all their spells was Latin, Expelliarmus, all that stuff. So yeah, if y'all want to learn deep into that, check out Double R the God. But yeah, dang, I just lost I just lost my train of thought because
you good, man? It's a lot.
etymology is so deep. So I think basically the enemy in the mirror, what I've come to conclusion is our fragmented reality. We're not on the same accord, so we can't stitch together. So we can't fix a toy that somebody else think isn't broken. If that makes sense.
Yeah,
Like that's basically the state of melanated peoples, is that we're so fragmented and broken that we don't know where we're going. So I say my solution, because we can't have an obstacle without a solution. My
hmm
solution is at some point a group of us, it's not going to be all of us, because some people want to be V'd, some people love drinking and twerking and shooting and dice games and all. They like that stuff. They like being a stereotype. So it's not going to be everybody, but we need enough people in these fragmented communities who want to help. They don't even have to be conscious, just good-hearted. We need to some way somehow have a round table discussion about what as a people we actually want. Because think about it this way: how long have we been calling? Being considered melanated is something kind of new, kind of our gener. I've only heard us refer to ourselves as melanated beings outwardly since beginning of, like, I'll say 2018, and now it's just like, out there. But officially, we're still called black, and people, we all know at this point that black means dead in the eyes of the law. So we're not even respected for the label that we're giving ourselves. I know most intellects call themselves melanated. I
yeah.
It's almost common now at this point. So do we wait until mainstream allows us to call ourselves melanated, or are we going to put in legislation to officiate the who we are? and I know that that's like a large order because a lot of us are Native American and we don't even know that. And even if we know what tribe we're from, we don't even know within that tribe which bloodline we are in. So I honestly,
Mm-hmm.
maybe that could be a starting point. Just changing our name to what we want it to be. Not some fragmented whatever. Oh, I'm a Moor. No, I'm Egyptian. No, I'm this. I'm that. One of the most common things that all Black people have is the melanin content in our skin. So to me, a solution, a nice first step to becoming more cohesive and not being an enemy to ourselves is at minimum calling all of us
Yeah,
melanated people.
labels. Labels. Labels kind of, not kind of. It gives certain things like a like a microwave instruction of what it is. It don't really allow you to like digest or critical think. Now I agree. That's definitely a good. The names will be one. I got like the Omex. I just got the Omex tatted on me too. I'm big on the Omex. I don't really see a lot of people speak about them because a lot of their history is kind of like smeared away. But
Hmm.
if y'all don't know, the Omex is predated. It's before the Mayans, the Aztecs, the Incas, even the Mayan calendar come from the Omex.
Yep.
But even then, we don't know if that's fully their name. The Mayans call these people the Olmecs. We don't know if the Olmecs call themselves Olmecs. So
Right.
again, but solution, mine would be, of course, what the guy said. Um, mine would just be the youth too. Um, again, if you, man, it's getting to the point. If you got one and you have access, like I have a lot of access to one of my nephews. I have access to most of um my niece and nephew, but one particularly my older sister, her son. I got a lot of access to him. Like I can get him throughout the day, and he's always with me. So what I'm doing, I'm not going to wait until I have kids. If I can see I have a niece or a nephew that's already kind of in tune and already is like, that shit don't make sense to me. I'm going to grab that person. Everything that I know, I'm gonna get them. Now I know the attention span, I know the YouTube. I know all these kids is gravitated towards that, but that's still
Yeah.
not an excuse. We still can find ways to implement these things. When I go meditate, or if I'm with somebody and I'm meditating, I bring my nephew or my nieces, and they watch us meditate together. So this would be the standard. I think start with the youth, and and help. If you can't make and help the youth that you have understand the difference between just doing shit and the intent of something. Because you have murder, but murder doesn't always mean you're a bad person. What was your intent
Right.
behind it? You know what I'm saying? Was it manslaughter, first degree, second degree, third degree? So first would be youth, along with what you said. Third would probably be um spirituality, history, and science, and understanding that we got to stop skipping all these shit. We can't keep saying, okay, I'm this black historian, and then we get to talk about DNA. You don't have to be an expert at it, but you shouldn't be like, okay, that don't fit into my plight, so I'm not incorporate that. Well, your
Hmm.
plight is man-made. The original plight, all that is the same shit. It's a different language. So that's what I say, because and don't wait, but we still got to see where um because right now I really don't know where it's going. I normally have a good eye where the world going, but I think now, I would say now, like it's kind of hard to predict where society is heading. Is we in a
Yeah.
real we in a real spooky place right now, because it's like you think people woke, and then something scare them, and then you like, damn, they got him too. Then you like, I thought my girl was woke. I've been with her for 3 or 4 years, but damn, she over here siding with her mama. So it's like, man, that's why I tell you, man, that's why I just look to the ancestors and I just keep reading, and I just constantly look
Hmm.
at hieroglyphics, and I just get that motivation to be like, okay, I know it's some people on this planet right now that is going to be able to leave, because I like leaving legacy behind, but I wanted to say we need to start leaving artifacts behind. So that's the only thing that motivate and keep me going.
Yeah.
Yo, at some point we are going to be leaving something behind. Yes, money, bank account, but no, I'm talking about real things from 2,000, 3,000 years from now, and be like, okay, this guy Phoenix and the guy that he's with, these people left something. Because at the end of the day, we always speak about, we know we're going to be examined.
Mhm.
This time that we're in right now is going to be examined. And a lot of people are not going to like this time because they're going to look at us, not all, but a majority, and they're going to say, what the hell was wrong with these people?
Right.
Like, I can only imagine 2,000 years from now, people open up a book and say, okay, 2021, this what the people was doing. And I'm pretty sure it'd be a group of kids or whoever, like, what in the hell was going on at these times? But
We would look
that was my
primitive.
solution.
We
Yeah,
would definitely look primitive uh, to the future generations for sure. I do want to say this though. I believe in not just talking about stuff and actually doing stuff. And I love that you've been focusing on the youth, and that's kind of been like the a big theme that we have because I actually have started a nutritional mentorship program, and specifically, I'm looking to mentor um, the youth and teenagers who have self-esteem and weight issues.
yeah,
And it's a 6 month program, and it would be like it's half self-esteem development, and the other half is nutritional education. So if anybody in the world knows a young person or even like a 20 something who needs help with their self-esteem and needs to learn nutrition and things like that, please let me know. I do have a whole website called Knowledge by Nature um, dot square dot site, and basically classes don't start in the program doesn't start until January because I want to give people the ability to eat all their Thanksgiving and Christmas foods and stuff, and then to start the New Year off. Well, the
yeah.
Gregorian New Year off right. So, if you are interested in that, either hit me up in the DMs or go to my website. Plus, you don't have to have an overweight problem, and it's not just for kids, but that's where the focus is. If you're underweight or you want like let's say you got high blood pressure, and instead of you want to take these synthetic medicine, you want to learn what foods will actually help you rid of high blood pressure. This is what my program is for. So if you are interested in that, and like, so we gotta have I don't know if I'm frozen or he's frozen, but yo, can y'all hear me? Let me know in the chat.
All right, I'm back.
I, I
Yeah,
don't know
back.
what happened. My stuff was, I guess it was all choppy, but my I don't know if y'all heard what I said, but I actually have a youth program. Well, it's not just for the youth, but that's my main focus for people who have low self-esteem or weight issues, and that's really what I'm trying to heal that because I came from that place, and now that I've learned how to cultivate self-love, I want to, you know, push that, and we all got to be healthy, and we need to learn like actually what we're eating. Like if you have high blood pressure, I can teach you what foods to eat in order to you know fix that issue, and I can tell you what foods make you feel depressed or why your kid has psychological issues, all that type of stuff, or why you as an adult feel sluggish after you eat certain foods. I can teach you all of that. So if you are interested, go to my website. The link is in the description. It's knowledgebynature.square.site. And, let's, like I said before, let's use tangible, light working skills and let's actually, make change in this reality instead of, just talking about it.
Nah, for real. And I'm make yeah, we gonna definitely when we get off. I'm definitely push that too, man. Like I definitely want to work and just work with peer people. And it's that sound simple, but it's not because
Hmm.
you work with people, 6 months go by, something happened. You work with people, years go by, something happened. I'm just getting to a point in my life, man. We should be able to work and build with one another on a project or whatever it is. And even if the relationship or friendship departure, it doesn't have to explode. Again, I love the ancestors. When you study how many people help build Egypt, help build Maya and all these temples, I'm pretty sure it was other outside different groups. If you do your research, that came from the east, the north, the west, the south. But
Right.
after their mission was completed, they greeted them and they went to go build somewhere
Went their
else.
separate way. Right.
Yeah, so that's just where it's at, man. But nah, definitely
Let's.
definitely rocking with the convo.
How would you feel? And we can end it on this. How would you
Uh huh.
feel about once we get done with this, and it ain't got to be tonight, but sometime in the future? I already have a group uh, called Melanated Men's Health Association.
Yeah.
How would you feel about linking up with me and finding other people to kind of cultivate a community of black men and women that want to uplift the youth and offer them programs at affordable prices to cultivate their self-esteem and give them the information and teach them the advanced knowledge that we have but in a more digestible form. Like, would you be interested in that?
Yeah. Yeah. That's really like my only if I had one thing to choose before leaving this physical realm, it would literally just be not just teach the youth, walk with the youth. Because everybody teaching, but it's like, okay, you're not really walking with them. Once you teach them in your classroom, you're not walking with them outside to see if they went home or not. So my
Yeah,
whole thing is we ain't teaching the youth, we walking with the youth.
I love that. I love that. So before we get off of here, because it's almost at the hour mark, can you please tell them where they can follow you, your websites, all that stuff? Plus, y'all need to go listen to his music as well, because
Yeah.
he's also a musician. We did not get to talk about that, but yeah, he's a musician. So I'll let you go ahead and tell the people, where to find you.
Okay, first y'all again. I'm normally on Instagram. Y'all can follow me on Instagram at underscore the great one 79. So you're gonna spell out the great one. You're gonna spell out one and then 79. My Twitter is Phoenix Forever, Phonix, and the word forever. And that's my YouTube channel as well. It's Phoenix Forever. So, we're gonna be going back and forth. We're gonna go live on his, we're gonna go live on mine. But just know from this day forward, we about to push this to like a whole new level. We just had to get this knocked out, get comfortable. His speaking style, my speaking style, and others who want to be a part. And and just make sure y'all check out my music too. Phoenix Sean, all streaming platforms. It's doing pretty good, but I'm more focused on the intellectual side right now because I don't want to
Hmm.
be the artist that's always introduced as Phoenix Sean, the rapper. Like I want to be one of the biggest artists that's introduced as an intellect first. And rap is in music is something that he do. But I do love music just as much now. But the intellectual side is definitely where I'm focused on right now, especially for these like next 6 months and whatnot. But yeah,
And I do want to say this before we get off of here. This has been a long time coming because I believe we've been following each other since 2019, if I'm not
yeah, it's been a
mistaken.
minute.
Yeah, it's been a minute. So I'm glad that we finally got to chop it up. And like he said, this will not be the last time that we have a conversation, and I will definitely be on his channel when the time comes. So let's end this how we always do, with love and light. I appreciate everybody who sat here and watched this. Make sure y'all follow him and subscribe to his YouTube and all his social medias, and y'all make sure that y'all like, share, and subscribe to this channel with this video. I appreciate y'all continued support, and y'all kind of like give me hope that things are changing for the better, because I know a lot of kind-hearted, intellectual men and women, gods and goddesses. So I appreciate y'all so much. And yeah, y'all have a wonderful night. It's 9/11. If y'all into numerology, go ahead and look that
Yeah.
up. Peace.
All right, peace.